Hello viewers. And welcome to the fourth part of String and C# tutorial. This tutorial, like our previous ones, is very important. In this tutorial we will learn how to loop through a string character by character. The first thing we need to understand is how string length property works. Without using string length property, it is nearly impossible to iterate a text. In most of the cases we actually have no idea about how long a text is and how long we need to iterate. For example, if you need to process messages sent to you by users, or full names or addresses, the length of these types of text always varies. And if you want to loop through these text, you need an endpoint. That endpoint we can easily get using the string length property. Now take a look at the picture we have been discussing in this series. Here you see a string, which has 17 characters. And when we apply length property on that string, we will get 17. That means, the length property actually returns the total number of character. Let's check first how we can apply length property and can get total number of characters. Declare and initialize a string variable. Declare an integer type variable, as length property returns an integer. Property is applied. Let's publish the result into the text box. Run the program. And here you see the number of characters, that is 17. Okay, now, let's move ahead and take a look at the picture again. Now we know that length property returns the total number of characters. But take a look at the indexes. Index value starts always from 0. And that means when you are accessing the characters, the last character's index would always be total length -1. Hope you understand it. Okay, now, we can perform at least two operations here. We can access the first character, as first character is always on index 0. And we can access the last character, as last character is always on index length -1. Let's try it. Publish characters into the text boxes. Run the program. As you can see the result, we reached to the first and last character. And we reached the last character using string length property. Now we have good understanding of string length property. And this is a perfect time to learn how to iterate a string character by character. We use two different loops to iterate a string. And these loops are for loop and for each loop. We will see both the loops and plus. We will see when to use for loop and when to use for each loop. Set multi-line property to true on text box 3, as we will publish our result here. Now check for loop first. This loop will run from 0 to 16, but not 17, as our conditional operator is less than operator. This logic is important to remember. Let's suppose, if you change your conditional operator to less than and equal to, then we will be caught by index out of range exception. Because the loop will run from 0 to 17. And index 17 is invalid index. If you are feeling yourself uncomfortable with exception and indexes, then you might have missed part 2 of this series. We use loop variable and in every round we pick a single character from the string. Append text in the text box. Every character is separated by a comma. Run the program. As you can see, we have successfully looped through the entire string without any issue. Now see how we can iterate string with the help of for each loop. I suppose you already know how for each loop works. If you have no idea, then watch first for each tutorial at my channel. In for each loop you do not need to mention any condition. Here at every round, a single character is taken out of the string and placed into our character variable. The loop will go through all the valid indexes. That is 0 to 16 in our case. Run the program. Here you can see, we are getting the same results. Now the question is, when to use for loop over for each and vice versa. Let's find the answer. You will use for each loop only when you want to read out data from any collection or when you want to perform comparison. For example, here we are just reading out data. Here for loop can also be used for reading data and performing comparison, but also for the manipulation. Because in for loop we have access to indexes. Let me show you a practical example. Let's suppose, I want to count the number of spaces in my string. This operation involves reading data and comparison. So I can use for each loop. Let's see how we code. Just compare every character with the white space character. Run the program. Here you see the results. We have 5 spaces in our string. Now, If you want to manipulate these spaces, like remove them or change them with any other character, then you need position indexes, and we have no idea where these 5 spaces reside inside the string. You can actually find the indexes using for each loop, but then you have to program a logic. But if you rather use for loop, you can easily find the number of spaces as well as their indexes, because loop variable represents indexes. Let's see how we can code. I am taking a list collection for storing index values. Here we are adding the index values into our list collection. Now our list collection has 5 different index values. In order to read out these values, we need to iterate our list. And here I can use for each loop. You can even notice here a good example of for loop and for each loop usage. Let's print the data into our text box. Run the program. And here you can see the result. We have number of spaces and their positions. I hope this tutorial is helpful and you understood string length property, and you learn how to loop through a text as well as the usage of for and for each loop. Now, if you remember, in our second tutorial we superficially talked about string immutability. And we said that we will discuss immutability in coming videos. I think this is the time. In our next video we will first see how to join strings. And then we will discuss string immutability. Stay tuned and thanks for watching.